So, last time, we laid the groundwork by defining ethics, distinguishing it from morality, and identifying the role of values in moral life. Now, let's move on to the role of ethics in society and ask a very important question. Why does ethics matter in society? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Ethics is like the glue that holds human communities together. Without shared moral standards, society would descend into chaos. We can look at it in three key ways. Ethics itself as a foundation for social order, as a guide for institutions and laws, and as a tool for moral progress. If we look at ethics in the societal order and focus on the foundation of coexistence, at its most basic level, ethics enables cooperation among individuals in a society. Imagine a world where no one believed in honesty, fairness, or respect for others' rights. In such a world, trust would collapse, contracts would be meaningless, people would live in constant fear of exploitation. Ethics provides the normative framework that allows people to live together peacefully. It establishes expectations, such as do not steal or do not harm, keep your promises, which makes social life possible. These moral norms are not just arbitrary. They are essential for predictability, stability, and mutual benefits. Let's consider a simple example, like traffic laws. At first glance, they may seem like mere rules of the road, but beneath them lies a moral principle: respect for others' safety and right to move freely. When we follow traffic laws, we act ethically because we recognize that our actions can affect others. In this way, ethics is not just a personal concern. It is socially embedded. It shapes how we interact with neighbors, colleagues, strangers, and even how we treat institutions. One of the most visible roles of ethics in society is through those institutions, especially the legal system, government, and education. These institutions are designed to reflect and enforce moral standards. A society that values justice, fairness, and human dignity will create laws against murder, theft, and discrimination. But not all laws are ethical. Some laws, such as those enforcing slavery or apartheid, were legal but profoundly immoral. This highlights a crucial point: law and ethics are not identical. A healthy society must constantly evaluate its laws through an ethical lens. Now, justice is one of the central moral ideals in any society. Philosophers from Plato to Rawls have asked, what does a just society look like? Ethical theories help us assess whether institutions treat people fairly regardless of things like race, gender, wealth, or status. Public institutions, like hospitals, schools, and the military, also rely on an ethical framework. For example, a doctor's ethical duty is not just to heal, but to uphold patient autonomy and confidentiality. A judge must be impartial, applying the law fairly and consistently. In short, ethics informs and critiques the institutions that govern our lives. It empowers citizens to demand accountability, justice, and reform when those institutions fail to uphold moral standards. Ethics itself is not just about preserving tradition. It is also a dynamic force for moral progress. Throughout history, societies have undergone profound ethical transformations. Think of the abolition of slavery, the extension of voting rights, the growing concern for environmental sustainability, and so on. This is the power of ethics. It allows us to challenge injustice and reimagine a better future. It enables us to say, this is how things have been, but that doesn't mean they should be. Take the example of animal rights. For centuries, animals were considered property, legally and morally. But ethical philosophers have challenged this view, arguing that animals, like humans, have the capacity to suffer, and thus deserve moral consideration. This has led to significant changes in animal welfare, laws, and public attitudes. Ethics, therefore, is not just about following rules. It is about moral courage and critical engagement of the world. Finally, ethics reminds us that we are not isolated individuals. We are a part of a moral community, a web of relationships and responsibilities. Our actions affect others, and we have a moral obligation to consider those effects. This sense of moral responsibility is central to ethics. It means we cannot simply say, I didn't break any laws, or it's just how things are. We must ask, did I act in a way that respects others' dignity and well-being? For example, is it ethical to consume products made by exploited laborers? Should we speak up when we witness injustice? These are not abstract questions. They are ethical questions that demand reflection and action. Ethics itself is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the framework through which we build trust, promote justice, and create a world in which people can live with dignity and respect.